Hello Sim, this is my feedback to your presentation. Now first, let me say the slide design is very good. Just in general, you've used the space quite well. Overall, not many issues there. So this is good. First slide, very nice design. Maybe you could expand your name here, this information a little bit. Just a little bit more. It's just too small compared to the title. This is good. Overall, I would put these bullet points more inside. You can make it a little bit to the center, not too much, but just give it a bit more space, just a little bit, so it's not all on one side, but that's a very small thing. Now here, just stick with bullet points. We don't want to see long sentences, no continuous text, just bullet points. So for instance, purpose of the research, ethical, efficient alternative, that's all. Persuade should be excluded by, you can just say here, persuade, how can I put it, just in a very short bullet point, something about stem cell research, right, that it's preferable or something like that, and that's it. You can just say stem cell research is more preferable or is preferable, that's all. Same as with this one. So there shouldn't be text, it shouldn't be so horizontal, it should be more like vertical bullet points. That's what we expect in a presentation. Now here, if you created this, this looks very good, you should say adapted from or something like that. Check the APA guidelines for, because if this is something you made yourself, congratulations, because it looks good. But I think what you need to say is adapted from, something like that. Okay. Here this slide is fine, but look how small these letters and numbers are. It will be difficult for the audience to read. So I'm not very sure what to say here. Either expand this, maybe. I like the visual representation of failures and successes, but it's not easy to read. And so I would say expand this figure so that this can be a little bit bigger if you can. And here, I think the text is fine the way it is. Normally, it's better to always put a space between each bullet point. So here you would put a space. It's just much easier on the eye like that. Anytime you have a bullet point, it's good to have space. So here you see how we have space, it's very nice. Here, again, bullet points with space in between, more vertical. Okay. Do you see how the vertical is so much better than these long sentences? Now the audience wants to read and wants to know. When they see that long sentence, they just don't want to read, you see? Or even if they start reading and you're talking at the same time, it's kind of difficult to follow. So this style of format is much better. But again, I would put some spaces in between the actual points. Here it's fine. Again, more spaces if you can. But I like this design here. This is also very good. I'm not sure about this picture though. It's just so much stuff going on. I think that what you need is really the pluses and the minuses. And that's all you need to do, I think. If you want a picture of stem cell research that is a little bit more informative, you could do that. But there's just too much going on here. And I think the audience, because this presentation is so quick, the audience will just get lost in looking at these pictures, in all these little things here, and you're talking at the same time. It might just be difficult, you know. and you just need one visual aid. You do not need more than one. So this is good. This is not bad. You made it on your own probably. I'm not against the representation of stem cells in pictorial format, but it's just very busy here. It's just too many things going on. Okay, I think you should focus on the bullet points. The conclusion again should be bullet points, and maybe you can talk about again the preferability of stem cells. They are 1, 2, 3, right? More ethical, more this, more that, and that's all. The reference is very, very small. So you see, instead of all this space here, you could just increase the font so that it's a little easier to see. Now, just in general, with this kind of presentation, it's very good. The slides are okay, everything's fine, but I think you're setting yourself up for a very descriptive presentation, which is mostly about content. But what you should do, it's really about you. So here, the first slide should be introduction to you. So it should be self-introduction, who you are, your research interests, your goals. If you go to the guidelines, you will see that the first 3 minutes should be basically about you and as a researcher, your future ambitions, why you're interested in this topic, basically about you. And even after that, instead of, this is very content based, your presentation so far. Even after you've introduced yourself in the first 3 minutes, even the second 3 minutes should again be mostly about you. It's about two sources, but it should be about how you're using those two sources. It shouldn't just be, see what you've done here. It's very much about the content, and then you're citing sources as you need them. I think it's much better to just have the first slide here, self-introduction, research interests, future goals, overview of source number 1, overview of source number 2, conclusion. Now, some of these concepts, you can mention them while you're talking about your research, the sources, but what I'm seeing here is just very content driven. Instead, you can say, for instance, why the Gale source, for instance, has influenced you. How has it shaped your interest in the topic? Well, it helped you. It highlighted some of the ethical issues involved, such as this, and that. Why was the Manikpudi another? Why is that source? How did that shape your interest? Well, you found out about the challenges to efficiency, that it's costly, that there's some side effects, and so forth. So you see, you can kind of rearrange the slides and also the way you're going to discuss them to make it more about you, your interests, and how the sources have shaped your understanding of the topic. Not so much about the content itself, because this looks very much like last semester's webinar, and it shouldn't be. It should be about you, your interest, and when you're talking about the sources, it's more about, I use this source to understand blah blah. So yes, there will be overlap. You're not going to delete these things, but you will rearrange it to make it centered around you and your interests. Okay? I hope this is helpful. This is a very good start, by the way. So make sure you practice the presentation and go back to the guidelines, read them very carefully. This is not a webinar presentation, right? Okay, SM, good luck.